So we just went through Hurricane Helene, and we're in North Carolina. You guys heard of like the big hurricane that like devastated these towns in North Carolina. You know, you're not supposed to have a hurricane way on in the mountains over there, right? So, you know, towns got flooded, and we were really close to the heart of the devastation, but we weren't near any water. We were near giant trees, so like we had like 50 giant pine trees down in our yard. Like it destroyed some of our campground that we owned, but our house is okay. But as this hurricane, so the hurricane's happening, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, God, what's my purpose here today? And I get, stay strong. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, I don't feel like I need to stay strong. I feel fine. Like, it doesn't look that bad out there. But I just felt like it was like I needed to be strong for someone else. And a few hours later, at like the peak of the hurricane, all of a sudden our next door neighbor, she's a mom with 4 little kids, drives up our driveway, and she's just completely distraught. We knew something really bad had happened, and she's like, do you guys have a chainsaw? Do you have, like, she's just crying, do you have a chainsaw? A tree is on top of my husband. So Aaron runs gets the chainsaw, see what we can do. We go to the house, and like the tree, he was gone. The tree was on top of him, and it was pretty shocking. Neither of us are in not paramedics. Nobody really sees that.
Yeah,
so
we don't.
firefighters
Yeah,
or anything.
that's not normal. That's not a normal day for us.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there like just holding her. She's sobbing. I'm like, God, what should I do? And it's just like, stay strong for her. And I was like, oh. That's what it meant. And I had to stay strong for myself that day too, because that was a lot of process, But so you do this enough, and you start seeing, wow, this is very, very powerful, and you start to prove it to yourself, because a lot of the questions you've been asking have been like, how do I know if it's from God? How do I know if it's from me? And you start doing it enough, and you start proving it to yourself that you can trust what you're getting.
You start to see the evidence pile up that, this is legit.
Yeah.
This does work.
Yeah.
Things that help me kind of differential from, where is this coming from, is like when you guys are using, I keep going back to that commit your way, to the Lord. And so it's like, you get a thought in your head of something that you've avoided doing, and work that you need to work on, or something that you need to kind of step into, and it just pops into your head like while you're praying or when you're meditating, and it's like you can just dismiss that and just kind of keep going, right? And so the more you get connected with what God's trying to build in you to help others, to serve their purpose, to glorify Him, everything starts to line up, right? It starts to just line up. So you're it's gonna make sense to you
As you do it.
as you walk through it, and as you exercise it with a sense of, I am the one that has to change so the world around me can be affected by it.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's going to be very directed towards you, right? A lot of times, sometimes it's very vague, like you're speaking of, but it's still going to fit in somewhere pretty quickly. You know what I mean? And that's an important one, because you don't want to get misdirected, right? Because there's others influences that can influence you, and we got to make sure we're, like you guys said, anchoring to God's spirit, God's knowledge.
And that's why every day, every moment that you're thinking about it, you're not opening yourself up to whatever is coming, and I'm opening myself up to God. What are you telling me? That's the connection line, heart to heart.
Yep. Step 1 is commit your ways to the Lord, and He will direct your paths. So that's the connection that you're focusing on. It's not just, oh well, let's see whatever's in the room. I'll just do.
And here's something you can watch out for. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got that one in here, Ivan. You can watch out for. So if you're in a very heightened emotional state, and you're trying to connect, like if you're really angry or something like that, you have to dig a lot deeper to get the right answers. Like what you're saying, like how do I know? You have to get yourself to a deeper, centered kind of place where you might not be able to trust, because if your thoughts are running a mile a minute, that's when it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important to just kind of develop a practice of okay, let me literally just get out of this mind chatter and analyzation of everything and connect with the heart. And we're going to get into some verses about that.
I love that you use the word as a practice. Because it's something, right?
Practicing.
Yeah,
It's like
you
practicing
have
the
to.
piano.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna get better unless you practice.
Just like any
I'm not gonna
skill.
sit down and just be like,
Yeah.
right?
I've never done this before. I'm going to be awesome at it the first time. No.
Here's the cool thing, just going off of that, I think it's kind of important. I've thought of this before, if I should share it. So practicing piano, right? They've done these studies where they take two groups of people. One group, they say, okay, I'm gonna teach you these scales and I want you to practice it every day for a certain amount of time.
On the
then-
piano.
And then, yeah, on the piano, scales on the piano. And then they take the other group and they say, I don't want you to actually touch the piano. I just want you to close your eyes and practice in your head exactly what we show you to do for the same amount of time. And at the end of the week, they say, okay, how do the two groups compare? Which one do you, like, what do you guys think probably happened? You guys gotta guess which group did better?
Naturally, you would think the ones that physically
Yes,
did it,
right.
but
They actually were exactly the same. They were the same. And I think that just speaks to the power of practice and visualizing, because it's all just, are you rehearsing having faith? Are you practicing having faith? Are you actually taking the steps?
Because to a certain extent, you get muscle memory, and you train your body to be able to do things like scales, and so you never have to think about it. But really, like, what part of you knows how to play the piano? Generally, it's partly your fingers, but mostly you're training your brain
Yeah.
to play the piano.
And your
So you
heart.
can train your brain without a piano to be able to do something by going through the process in your head.
And it's, you're practicing faith, you're practicing belief. So when you tune into those core four that we're talking about, like a life I love or loving my life, you practice feeling that every day. You're going to get better and better and better at it until you're feeling it most of the time. But yeah, if you don't practice it, you're not going to get the results from it.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else have
Homework, insights,
Anything
falling asleep, waking up, anything interesting?
Are you guys
I,
forgetting to do it?
I woke up and did it this morning. I was like, I want to get through this. I want to practice this.
Did you notice anything or?
It felt good, but I didn't, I don't know, maybe it did inspire some conversation between my wife and I about our purpose and what that could look like going forward and how to hone in on that more. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and practice. Just keep at it, and eventually you'll notice the themes. Yeah, more confident. All right. So, all right. Before we get into today's stuff, we learn better when we say what we've learned. So, what did you guys learn from yesterday's class that really liked to hit home?
What stuck?
What stuck with you? Because everybody's gonna take away something different that's important to them.
The four core life choices, they all seem like interesting to look into. Like, do I make these choices in my life?
Yeah,
Like
they
examining.
seem-
Yeah,
well,
it
did they
made
seem
me
relevant?
look back. Like, do I follow these?
Yeah, all right, cool. So did
That's
any, yeah, all right. I guess we can get on.
That's what I like to, if I'm allowed to.
If
Okay,
I-
over 30
If
times.
I may, okay.
I will let you both speak today. You have my royal.
See, we've been released, so, yes.
No, I love you guys.
So yeah, I really like the idea, and maybe I'm taking it a little bit a different way, but of the choice and our perspective. And I think you guys touched on it about not doing the victim route, right? And so I look at it as instead choosing to be the adventurer, or you, as you said, the creator of this journey. Like,
I like calling it the adventure. It's
Yeah,
like one of those
'cause-
books like Choose Your Own Adventure.
right, because you
That's
choose your adventure in a sense. Like God
We should
chooses
use
the
that for
adventure
an
for you,
analogy.
but you
Yeah.
choose how you're going to respond to that adventure. Are you going to become a victim, or are you going to become the hero of your story?
Oh, you just gave me
right?
an awesome slide for a future
There you go.
presentation of doing
Awesome.
this. Choose Your Own Adventure. That's really good.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this. I love, the choose to live my true nature and my true purpose. Choose the life I love. So again, we talked about contentment, and it's like, it's not that I don't want to get from here to there, right? And especially for the Reds, it's about getting from here to there.
Yeah.
But it's about being good with the journey. Like
Process.
Melanie always used to tell me, like, honey, you've got to learn to love the process. And I'm like,
And I think our flesh really hates that. It just thinks it
Right.
was the end,
Right,
right? It's like when you're
exactly.
hiking up to a mountain. If you hate the whole hike, but you enjoy the view for like 2 seconds.
You don't actually
okay.
like hiking, yeah.
I hate hiking, but hey, I got a view at the end.
But you
So
can
gotta enjoy the
choose
journey.
to find things within that hike, within that journey.
Find the value.
You have to,
to
because
value.
literally that's like the 90% of your life.
Or to love.
The top of the mountain is like what, 5%?
Right,
The whole
right.
hike.
Oh, and then, yeah, the valley, the peaks and valley, I wrote that quote, I love that. Like, yeah, the view may be better here on the peak, but the fruit is better in the valley. And I'm like,
Yeah, I have never heard
that
that.
is
That
so
was super
deep.
profound.
No pun intended, but that was deep.
It's Serenity had her hand up.
I was gonna mention the part that was pulled out about like being, being able to be present and content with the place that you're at. And I liked the tie-in to Joseph's story, just kind of how like he was able to rise to the top of all of the multiple rough situations he was in, and then God would kind of move him on to the next step.
Yeah.
Once he rose to the top of the step he was in, kind of.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like you're playing a video game, and
Yeah.
the next level is
Yeah.
up here, but you have to beat the boss first.
Right.
And you, like we said yesterday, there's always going to be that big challenge where you're like, oh man, this is not working. Like
You
the
have to
worst
go
thing.
through the grind.
And then you get the breakthrough. But
Yep.
like if you think of your life like a game, it's a simulation where God's refining you into this person He wants you to be. You've got to face that boss before you get to the next level.
Yeah, you don't get to like skip the boss to get to the next level. It's not like, how do I avoid dealing with this
Yeah.
to get ahead? It doesn't work out.
And how do you beat the boss? By practicing and getting better throughout the whole journey
Trial and error.
and enjoying the whole
Yep.
thing.
Yeah, so I think some of the kids were misinterpreting some of that where they were kind of going, well, I'm just supposed to love my life, right? And they're like, there's no way, right? And so it's like these
Right.
incremental steps of becoming that go through the next step.
Yeah.
To
And
embrace,
Part
embrace
of
the
it.
journey.
Yeah, Landon
Yes.
said,
that's why we have the two parts, like being happy with where you are now, even if it's a terrible situation. And this is where the confusion happens, I think, confusing your life with your situation.
right,
Your life isn't your situation. You love your life. God is life. You are alive. You love life, regardless of what's going on there. And then the next thing that we're working on today, the inspired choices, the creative choices. That's how you can change what's going on out there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, let's.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So today we're calling it creating inspired choices. The reason I'm calling it that is because you got your 4 core universal choices that every human needs that make you satisfied where you're at. And then you also have inspired choices. Inspired, the word inspire sounds a lot like spirit. Inspired, they both have inspired.
It means God breathed.
Spirit means, inspire means, breathed by God. So your human spirit is connected to God's spirit, the Holy Spirit, and it is inspiring, like coming down to you.
So today we're going to be working on these inspired choices are literally going to be your personalized, unique ones that you are going to uncover,
Yeah.
really.
And they spring from the place of complete contentment, the core 4 is where we start getting these from. Okay, so this is what I want to really just help hammer home, because you can be completely satisfied with where you are right now. You can be 100% satisfied, but still desire to create more. You don't have to choose like, well, I'll be satisfied where I'm at, and that's it.
Complacent.
Right.
Nothing's ever going to change, and this is where
Contentment can turn into
Stagnant.
being complacent and
Right.
stagnant if you take it by itself, right?
Yeah.
Because that person is happy, but they're not really they're not acting out their purpose in a way that helps others, right? Yeah.
if you're hiking up a mountain and you're halfway there and you're like, I'm really tired and sweaty, but I'm still really enjoying this. But I'm still hiking to the top of the mountain. I'm not just going to go halfway up and like, oh, this is amazing. I'm just going to stay here forever. It's like, it's the journey, but you can still enjoy it.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, creating more and desire, that is great. God wants to use you to act, to do things, to influence people, to bring His gospel to them. But if you just had that by itself, you might be doing all these actions and, like, oh yeah, I started a business, oh yeah, I made $1 million, but not be satisfied no matter what you get, and that turns into greed. So they both have, they're unbalanced focus zones, we have to have both.
Nope.
So
Oh,
that,
Oh.
that also, while you guys were talking, I just kept seeing, the note to the Laodiceans about
Ah.
the hot and cold versus lukewarm.
Do you guys know about the
So-
Laodicean church, the 7 churches at the end of Revelation?
Yeah, it might be over.
Okay.
It's a good
But
point.
just, I could simplify it, like, so hot takes energy and cold takes energy. But lukewarm, staying where you're at, stagnant, takes no energy.
Or it actually draws from both sides.
It sucks things.
Sucks from both
Sucks,
sides.
yeah.
It literally
It depletes the
lukewarm
cold,
sucks.
Depletes the cold,
And the
depletes the
heat.
hot, you're
It's a
right.
great
Yeah.
neutral.
That's a great point. Yeah, the 7 churches in Revelation, it's talking about like, Paul wrote letters to 7 different churches and he said, okay, you guys are good, you have this problem, you guys have this problem, and here's how to fix it. And he tells them that they're all, so it's churches that existed at a point in time, but we can apply that to each of us today. So one of them was the Laodicean church. They lived in Laodicea, but they were lukewarm. He's like, you guys, I would rather have you be hot or cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're stagnant.
The metaphor is that like when you're just kind of like, whatever, we're good. You're not really doing anything. You're not really useful. He was using the metaphor for water. We're like, okay, hot water is great. Cold water is great. You can use them in things, but like, okay, tepid room temperature water, it's like, it's not really good for much.
It's
You're
like
not going to take a
lukewarm
bath.
coffee.
It's not refreshing.
Give me iced coffee or hot coffee, but not lukewarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who likes, room temperature coffee?
So the core 4, those are, like we said, completely satisfied where you are. That's the aim of these. That's why you want to tune into these every day. We'll teach you how to do that. We're just getting started with that. And then the personal inspired choices, that's the desire to create more. So that's how we differentiate them. So core choices, they're universal. They're for everybody. Every single person that God has invented and created
Hey Mary,
has the same one.
can you go back to the last slide for
Sure.
like half a second?
Thanks for the picture there. That would have helped a couple of the steps yesterday.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
that's
why
why
we
we're
put the slides
realizing,
together today.
yeah,
We're like,
that
okay,
needs to
being
get
able to
covered
see
today.
No,
it.
I mean, adding this. So they can-
Yesterday.
Yeah,
That's
helps
what
it get absorbed.
Yeah, if we used this yesterday, but I didn't think about it yesterday.
No, that's why it's always developing, right?
Mm.
Yeah, okay. So for every single human, these always stay the same. The 4 core choices, they're not going to evolve. They're always going to be the same. You're always going to want to love your life, to live your true nature and purpose, to have health and vitality, and to be the creator, the predominant creative force in your
Those are
life.
just
It never
fundamental to
changed.
human beings.
Yeah, you can practice feeling that and praying about those every day. God, help me be happy with this terrible circumstance. Help me love my life. How can I, no. And like we said, these help us be content. They help us rejoice in all things. The more aligned with these, the happier you're going to be. And some of you guys, when we were tuning into these yesterday, just really briefly, I said, how high do you rate how you felt this one? And, I heard some 3s, some 2s, some 5s, some 12s, actually. That was pretty cool. I don't know if you were talking. I think Melanie said she was 12.
Yeah.
And then we got the inspired personal choices. These are personal to you. Every single person is going to have something different. Oh, do you want me to pull all of it? You want to take too much? Okay. But, yeah, and all of these, this is what we're going to create today. We're going to tune in to each of the core 4, and I'm going to give you a good amount of time for that. And you're going to write down what it would be like to have that. From those is where your personal choices will come from. And we'll get into that.
Yeah, we're gonna have, we rushed through, we didn't give you guys nearly enough time to actually get anything.
Yeah, I was trying to give you a
yesterday.
taste, but and maybe one today, but I think
Today, we're gonna take the time to really be able to get in there and focus and just sit
Right.
with it and let things develop.
So up here with the core 4, they always stay the same. You're always going to have the same 4. Your personal choices, those are going to change because you're going to set something you want to create that's hopefully inspired from what God wants you to create. That's the goal. That's why we're not just doing smart goal setting where I'm going to create $1 million, yay. We're doing inspired choices. These change as you accomplish them. So a few years ago, I remember I told you guys about, I had a vision about the community with like the golden dome around it, and it was like-minded people. And so I develop that into a choice for myself. I'm like, obviously that felt like it was from God. So I wrote a choice for myself. I choose to create a community of like-minded people. And in my head, I was like, okay, that's got to be that end vision of like this waterfront community with 200 acres, that everybody.
People like that living there with us, yeah.
And I kept tuning into it every day. I kept praying about it and feeling it and believing it. And a couple years later, maybe, I think it was not a couple years, I think it was less than a year actually, I realized, I feel that one at a 10. And I actually, wait a minute, I actually already had that. It just showed up different than I thought. We had bought 6 acres and had a small community, and we still do. And it felt exactly the way that feeling felt. And I was happy with it and satisfied. Like-minded people coming, we were teaching classes, it was awesome. But it doesn't always show up the way you think. But I realized, you know what? I can move on from that. I'm aligned with that. And if God wants it to be bigger, He'll make it bigger. So those changed. So that's not on my list anymore. You tune in and you're like, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We helped people with that. What's next?
And especially where you guys are at, you're all like just launching into adulthood. You're going to be maturing and changing and growing a ton over the next decade plus. The changes do slow down a little bit, but the idea is that your inspired goals are going to change and grow and mature along with you. They're not static.
Yeah.
You'll probably have the same flavor, the same ideas, but your goals and choices are going to grow with it.
And a lot of the time, it's Jason and I have been talking about this a lot, it's a spiral. You keep circling back to a bigger version of the same idea.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're in your genius spiral. Your genius zone is your gift. And you can either be in your box, your incompetence box, which is where you're really bad. I'm doing stuff all the time that I'm bad at. You don't want to be in that box. Or you can be in your competency box. I'm pretty good at this, but you're not really fulfilled. Or you can be in your excellence box, really good at stuff, but you kind of are still in a box.
You get bored.
And that's the hardest one to be
Stuff you're
in.
really good at sometimes.
That's the hardest one because people want you to keep doing that. But if you can get into your gift, your genius zone, it's not a box. It is a spiral. You're always having new versions and new iterations and getting bigger in what God wants you to do. Think of Joseph. Once a dreamer, always a dreamer, right? It was just different levels of that gift.
And he kept rising to the highest level of leadership at a different stage, but it was always circling around that gift that he had in whatever situation he was in.
Yeah.
You guys remember the story of Joseph we talked about? The guy that was in prison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows
His
the
brothers
story?
put him in.
Raise your hand if you
Yeah.
know the story. I'm just curious. Okay. You guys know the story of Joseph? Okay, yeah. Most
Good.
of
Yeah, we
you.
don't want to throwing out references that nobody gets.
Well, you guys already brought it up. We brought it up. I think that's what it is. You brought it up. You explained it pretty well.
It seems like most of them might have known it already, but again.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Hey, that's Stanley. That sounds so good.
that sounds so good. It does, doesn't it? All right. So these inspired personal choices, they are here to help us grow and help us accomplish God's purpose. That's different than me. Those help us rejoice and be happy where we're at. These are always going to be expanding us and pushing us and pushing our limits a little bit, but they're going to be creating, in as much as we can, God's kingdom on earth. Obviously, it's not going to be on this earth until Jesus returns, but we can each be little individual examples of that. So, yeah, the more land you get with these, the more you'll make the world a better place. So, can you see, the core four are more about, it's about you being happy with yourself. And this, I'm just realizing something cool now. And then the personal choices are about, how do I help humanity? So guess what? I just now realized this is cool connection. God says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. On this hangs everything.
Yes.
Love, the law of love. But you have to love yourself in order to love. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I love that connection.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why
inspired.
when you asked us who's a 12, well, you're a 12 when you're so full, you've got everything you need and you have enough to give to others.
Yes, the cup running over.
Me and Melanie have been working on this for years and years and years, and we weren't at 12. We were like, is this ever gonna happen?
Yeah, right.
How's it gonna happen? When? And then it starts happening, we're starting to get fulfilled. Now we've been doing it long enough and seeing it help and change lives. And it's fulfilled us to a point where we're now have access.
Yeah. And this is where like you guys like take everything that Jordan's way is teaching you to, he's basically helping you love yourself
Yeah.
so you can love others. Oh, that's cool how those connect.
Very well. They connect very well.
Any questions about all of this stuff? If something doesn't make sense.
We want to get lots of time for the actual
Yeah.
exercise, so
All
let's
right,
keep
we'll move on.
going
All
quickly.
right,
Push
Aaron
it,
is just
push
gonna,
it.
all right, Aaron wants to go over some key principles from the Bible of biblical meditation.
Yeah,
It's not a
so
woo-woo.
there's plenty of healthy skepticism or people having their own ideas about like what's meditating mean. Is it just like, okay, just kind of like opening yourself up to the universe? There's like definitely like the kind of mystical humanist version of like just meditating and seeing whatever comes in. But it's unfortunate because it's like the same word
Yes.
for two totally different ideas.
And it's
There's
the counterfeit. People
Yeah.
say counterfeit and then they get afraid of the real.
Right, so meditation is like, it's straight out of the Bible, and it's totally different from like meditation that you'll learn at like a yoga retreat or like some completely other type of technique. So we've got I've just put a few Bible verses together addressing like, okay, biblical meditation is not something to be afraid of. It's not something where you need to be like, well, I don't know. How do I know if I'm getting this from God or if it's coming from somewhere else? Commit your way to the Lord, and He will direct your path. When you're seeking God, when you're meditating, focused on something, some random thing that you have no control over, that's like totally gonna like dupe you or something like. That's not something to be afraid of, because this is a tool given to us by God, just like Bible study, just like prayer, that He gives us to build us up and to guide us and to benefit us. So
Do you want to touch on this first? Meditation is focused on something.
yeah, those are the verses that I'm gonna get into. So I guess looking at what's meditation versus just like, okay, like doing Bible study and like thinking about what you're reading and like, okay, I want to understand, like I want to get this. That's good. Meditation is not thinking about something in your head. It's not analyzing something. It's not trying to like get it consciously. Meditation comes from the heart. It's a very different function than thinking through something in an intellectual sense, or even just like memorizing it and understanding it.
That would be called studying.
Yeah, that's studying,
Studying.
which is you're supposed to do. Study to show yourself approved. You can't understand something if you don't like know it consciously.
And meditation can bring conscious thoughts up.
Yeah,
that unlock when we focus on like dwelling in God's presence. All of a sudden, you might get a new thought where you're like, oh, whoa, that totally makes this verse make sense, or this concept. Oh, I never understood this before.
Yeah, your heart and your mind work hand in hand, but let's see, Psalm 19, verse 14. This spells it out so clearly. This is the end of the psalm, the conclusion of what David was writing here. And he says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. And this makes it really clear because obviously words come out of your mouth. It's like that; those are tied together. And then the meditation of my heart, just like words come out of your mouth, meditation comes out of your heart. It's not let the meditation of my mind. No, you have thoughts in your mind. You have meditation in your heart. That's the source of and the kind of the seat of where this operation happens. You have words in your mouth. You have meditation coming from your heart. And so it's different than thinking about things. Another just quick little verse, Psalm 49 and verse 3 says something right in line with it. It says, my mouth shall speak wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall bring understanding. Now, understanding, you can understand something in your head. You can get it, you can click, it can make sense. But then there's a different type of understanding where you just know something. It's like you own it. It's there, you get it, it's not going anywhere, and it's just truth. That's the understanding you have in your heart. And it says here that the meditation of my heart shall bring understanding. When we meditate on something in this deep heart space, that's where we develop the beliefs that don't change, that aren't based on thinking through something, but that we know, we believe. That's what meditation on something from our heart can give us. And then finally, just one last verse before we actually get into this stuff is looking through Job. Job had a whole lot of time to meditate on things.
You guys
We
know
have
who
like
Job is? You guys know the story of Job?
Job's a little more obscure, but Job was a super successful, wealthy, basically almost like royalty, way back in like Old Testament, thousands of years ago, and he followed God. And God let all of this awful stuff happen to him, just out of the blue. Not because he deserved it, but because God was working to refine him. And he spends 40 chapters ruminating and meditating and arguing with some pretty miserable friends of his about all this stuff. And it's gold if you like meditating or thinking about like the nature of life and why is God doing this stuff to me, and it's a great read, but it's deep stuff. But anyway, getting toward the end of Job, meditating and talking about all of these things, we read in Job 32 and verse 8. He says, "But there is a spirit in man, and the breath of the Almighty gives him understanding." That's what we were talking about on the first day, where God puts a spirit in each human being that's like the radio connection with God. And the spirit in us can connect and communicate with the spirit in God. That's that connection. That's where we're getting the wisdom and the information in meditating, focusing on God. That communication is giving us wisdom. We can see that it's coming from God. We don't have to be afraid, oh, how do I know where something's coming from? If you're committing your way to the Lord, if you're focusing on Him, He's going to hold up His end of the bargain. He's going to give you the wisdom or the understanding that you seek when you take the time and the effort and the attention to focus on that relationship, that connection. So that's everything that we're doing now. That's the connection that we're relying on, that we're tapping into to meditate on, to gain this understanding.
David. All right, so we are going to get back into the four core choices. Remind you guys what they are, just so it's easy. I choose loving my life. I choose living my true nature and purpose. I choose being the predominant creative force in my life. I'm not going to be a victim. And I choose health and vitality. Right, so I'll take a picture. That's good. I don't like writing the word predominant. It's really long. I didn't know how to spell it actually when I typed this slide. I'm like, how do you spell that?
Well, good, somebody else that can't spell.
I can't spell it.
Okay.
You have,
I can't spell it.
you're young enough where it's okay, you're still learning.
All right, so let me just explain how we're going to do this. So we're going to do a little meditation process, and we're going to take maybe 3 minutes-ish on each choice. And what we're going to do, it's going to be a closed eye process to tune in. I'm going to guide you through it. You're just going to tune in to each of these choices, and you're going to notice what that choice feels like. We kind of did this a little bit yesterday. You're going to get into what does it feel like in my body to live my life? What does it feel like to live my true nature and purpose, to live with my gifts? And then I'm going to ask you some questions that are going to draw out what would that actually look like in your life. And when you, hopefully, everybody I've done this with so far, even my kids, have been able to do this, so I am confident that all of you can do this. But if you need some help, we can talk about it afterwards.
And here's the idea. If you've,
Okay.
just throw in one little thing. If you've ever had like a super, super slow internet connection, either like really bad Wi-Fi or none of you are old enough to remember dial-up, but when like you load a picture and you get like 8 pixels. And it gets a little more crisp, and a little more crisp, and a little more crisp. That's the kind of thing that we're going to be doing here, where you start off focusing on one of the core choices, and gradually through that inspiration and your spirit filling in like a custom thing for you, you're going to start to get some sort of a sense, or maybe a picture or something that's going to get like a little bit more clear as time goes by, of like, oh, what would that actually look like in my life
For you
personally?
specifically. So yeah, a life I love. That's gonna show up really different for me as anybody else here, because I have different things that I like. I have different things God wants to use me for. So when we're in this meditation and you get just a picture in your mind, I don't want you to analyze it or anything.
This is playtime.
It's
There's
just
no
play.
no
We're just
judging,
gonna-
no
We're just gonna
filtering.
bring it in, and I want you can open your eyes and write it down, and then just tune in again and see what else you get until you're not getting anything else. Each one of these things that you get a flash of like, oh, predominant creative force. There's like a picture of like me walking through a meadow. So you just write that down. Well, actually, you don't write that down. You say, okay, do I want to walk through a meadow, or does that mean something symbolically to me? Most likely, it's something symbolic. Maybe for you, you're like, that means like peace and harmony. I want peace and harmony with it. That's what you would write down.
And the key principle, whatever you get, just
Go
roll with
with.
it. Don't be like, well, that's
Don't
dumb, I
analyze it.
want something else.
That's
And-
how we edit down our choices to
Right,
be something
yeah.
we don't actually want.
And whatever you get, you can't do it wrong. Just
Yeah.
roll with it. It doesn't mean, like, don't judge it to like, oh, that has to mean something I don't want. Just roll with it. It's playtime. You can't do it wrong. And just like, see what you get for the sake of
Can I add
life.
something in there for a little bit of clarity? So, when we hear the heart's meditation, I think the way that I've experienced this, and maybe you can help me to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So, everybody has a heart that God's put inside them to do something already. So I think when we're meditating, if you start with the heart, there's something inside your heart that you're not aware of, okay? And God has you do it. And you guys are all starting to tap into what is your heart, right? Especially last night with some of us, and some of the experiences that we went through, we're kind of like, okay, I have a heart to help in this area. I have a heart to serve in this area. I have some capacity and some abilities that God has given me in these specific areas. These are all things that have come up in your pain cycle. That's part of your experiences of life. Well, your heart is your focus, right? The driver of your focus. So I think when you're doing these experiences, it might help them to tie in directly
Yeah,
to go,
that's good.
what is my
Already
my heart's focus that God has made me aware of, and have that as the connection to your heart, okay? And then meditate on your heart's focus.
Right, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Yeah.
focus on this.
So it's
thing.
not just think about anything and see what comes to you. It's meditate on your heart's focus, like you said. That's the difference.
That connection.
Yoga
with God.
meditation does not do that. It's just whatever comes to you, take it. This is a meditation from what God's already put in your heart.
Yeah,
Okay.
your blueprint. Basically,
Yeah. Does that, yeah.
Your heart already, you have been designed, you have a unique blueprint. And God knew you before you were born. The Bible talks about that. And so there's a blueprint that's deep down in us that He wants to see. What's a blueprint for? It's so you can build something from it. So sometimes though, we can't see the blueprint. It's kind of clouded. There's like a veil or a covering, right? Because you don't know like what's God going to do with my life.
This is taking our attention and shining a light on that blueprint so that we can see
A little
what
bit
God
more
has
of
there
it.
a little bit better.
Yeah, you're not creating anything new, really. You're just seeing what does He already have in store for me that I haven't noticed before. And even if you have never done any of this, God has even if this course didn't exist, like Joseph, I don't think Joseph took this course. However, God showed him something and He drew him there, no matter what. God will draw you where He wants you to be. However, you can make the journey easier on yourself if you aren't fighting against it. And if you can uncover a little bit of like, okay, I got a glimpse of this little part
I
of the
can kind of
blueprint.
see part of the plan.
Then you're
Sometimes
gonna
that makes
know.
the journey easier.
You're gonna be more able to say, oh wait, hang on, I've seen this before. I can take a step towards that instead of fighting it. If you if you're unaware, there's gonna be a lot more pulling you.
Okay, we got 30 minutes before lunch. Let's do this
And
thing.
it's only realization. Do you guys have any questions before we do it?
Is that mediation or meditation?
Meditation.
Okay.
Oops.
That's a different
But
course.
I did spell predominant right.
It's a sacrifice.
Like, what?
And if you guys get in a fight, we will have to do some mediation. So. All right, you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Makes sense? Okay, we do need
Way to go with
everybody.
it.
Does everybody have a place to write stuff down? Okay, so we're just gonna close our eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Ready? And I want you to take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're just getting centered. We're gonna drop down into our heart space that's connected with God. Okay. Just let everything go. You don't need to think or do anything else right now. Nothing's required of you. Just be here with God. And take wherever your focus is down. Just drop down, down, down until your focus is on your heart. That whole space. Just take a few breaths directly from that heart space. And that just means focus on your heart and however you can feel it. Just breathe through that. This gets our brains and our hearts in alignment. If you were hooked up to a monitor and you did this process, they'd get in sync. And once you feel like you're in that space, just choose to connect through that spirit in you to God's heart. God has a heart. His heart is for you. So just connect with him in whatever way that you feel that connection. And just ask him right this moment, God, please guide this whole process. Help me to see what plans you have in store for me. Give me pictures and just words, anything that I need to see. A little bit of that blueprint that you created that's just for me, that I can use to help others. And just ask for help and give him thanks because he will help. He's always there. Okay, now in this space, keep your eyes closed. I want you to just choose the first choice. Just say in your mind, I choose to love my life. I choose to love my life. I choose a life I love. And I want you to just feel into that with your body. Notice what you feel. Sensations, emotions. What would it feel like if you had that right now? Even if your current reality is far from that, what would it feel like if you had that right now? And once you are feeling that as good as you can, well, first, actually, I'm just going to ask God, let go of any blocks or resistance that anybody has to this process and to feeling what it would be like to be in love with their life, because you are life. Everything flows from you. Just let go of any blocks that are in the way. Okay, when you feel like you're feeling what it feels like to love your life, I just want you to notice what pops into your head when I ask these questions. And when you get anything that pops in, don't analyze, just write it down. You can open your eyes for that, and then get that in. Okay? All right, so just notice what you notice. So, what are all the possible ways that I can have this? What are all the possible ways that I can have a life I love? Get a picture, you write down what it means. What are all the possible ways I can have this? What would I love to create to feel this even more? What would I love to create to feel this even more. If you get anything, just write it down. Could be a symbol, could be a sensation, a feeling, thought. What are all the possible ways that I can have this, that I can have a life I love? And what would I love to create to feel this even more? Imagine what would a life I love actually look like? What are we doing? Who would be around? What would I be doing when I wake up in the morning? Who would I be spending my time with? Who would I? Just do another minute. Just stay in this space. Things are coming in that are negative, just let them go. Give them to God. Imagine just literally tossing them up to Him. Don't leave those. God, what do you want to show me right now that I need to have a life I love? To love my life right now. What are all the possible ways that I can have a life I love? And what would I love to create to have this even more? All right, you guys can open your eyes when you're ready. All right, everybody awake? All right, how did that go for you? I'm curious of anybody's experience. But I see a few puzzle books. Jason's got a very puzzled look.
I just kept seeing trees and forests.
Okay, that's good. So what does that mean? You saw trees and forests. What does that mean to you? Because just your first guess is what it is. What would it mean if it meant something?
I don't know. Like over and over again. And I was like,
So maybe
trees, and then just and I was thinking about some other words, and it just I just kept seeing images of trees and forests.
so if you could just take a guess,
If that meant
if
something.
it meant
what would it
something,
mean?
what would it mean?
People,
People? Okay.
You said life first,
life,
like
people, yeah.
that's a theme.
Is there trees and forest around here?
Wow.
Does it mean like being in nature, or is that not really the feeling with it?
Mass growth.
I'd have to explore this a little bit
Yeah,
more.
okay.
Good,
So,
yeah, hey, there's no wrong answers,
Yeah,
there's no
because
wrong way to do
I know
it.
this is everybody's first attempt doing this, so obviously you can do this on your own. You just tune in, just like we just did. We're gonna practice on the rest of it too, and you can get more. You can spend a lot of time in this and you can get.
Just like God's word, it's additive.
Yeah.
You
All
do
right.
this and you get more, and it
What else? What was everybody's experience like with that?
doesn't have to make sense.
What about you? I didn't see you writing anybody. You didn't get anybody. Yeah. Did you feel blocked with that, or you just didn't get anything? Could you feel what like you were feeling like? Nothing. So it was like at a zero. You couldn't even feel it. Okay. Now that's a really perfect example of if you are so far away from feeling like I love my life, and you're at, I say that it feels like a zero, you're gonna have a hard time with this exercise and tuning into it. So that's totally fine, because that indicates that there needs to be some inner healing and doing more of the work.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, because if we feel it as 0, it means, like, God is always sending us love, right? He's always sending us love, but can we feel it? Can we receive it, or are we blocked from it? So the only thing that's blocking us from God's love is wounds and traumas and all of those kind of things. So the more you heal yourself, the more, but I encourage you to tune into it again, and as you're doing it, ask God, hey God, can you help me let go of these things that are blocking me from feeling this? Yeah, that's totally fine.
You're just at a place where you're actually starting to make a choice
Yeah,
to decide that you're willing to change first, to change the world around you last night.
yeah,
Just starting to maybe consider the concept of, I need to change so the world can change around me, right? So that's very base level. If you've already chosen it and you see what God's wanting you to do to change the things so your heart can grow, then you're gonna have a better awareness. Right?
So I've
And
done,
more clarity.
when I've done this course for people, over a 6-week period, we literally would spend the first few weeks just focusing on the core 4 choices and not even getting to the next ones yet. Because the more you choose the core 4, the more you choose, I love my life every single day, and you practice, like you said, you practice feeling it as much as you can, even if it's like nothing, the more you're gonna be able to feel it.
It's a long process, and every step you take, even if like, okay, that didn't work, that didn't work, practicing is still a step, and every step you take is just one step closer, one step further on the journey.
So if you didn't get anything, I would just encourage you to focus just on that choice and just keep making that choice. Because I mean, obviously you want a life that you love, right? All of us do. Yeah.
For me, I call that being too loud. Like I tell God sometimes, like I know I'm too lazy to hear you right now. Like, and for me, that will be like either something I'm afraid of or too much emotion going on. It's not like where I can't be at peace. So he says that he's like, that still small voice, and I think sometimes unless I'm quiet enough to kind of hear something that's still and small and quiet, if I'm too loud, too scared, too excited, even like just something that's too loud. I don't, then I can't really control it.
Did you raise your hand?
Well, if we're done with that train of thought, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna share.
Please do.
So definitely at first I felt like definitely a block. And then once I got past that, I usually don't visualize images super well. Usually I more visualize feelings.
Yeah.
So mine were more feelings, but it is still, I think, accurate to like what I think I would need.
Yeah, it's, we each receive what God's telling us in different ways. Some people get thoughts more, some people get pictures, some people get feelings. So whatever thing God's right for you.
But I think it's still accurate to what I would need to create in my life to be more content where I'm at. So mine was just to create the peace of Jesus Christ in myself, and then to figure out how to be fully present with my heart again. Just like in my life, I guess.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I see actually a theme of peace and serenity. If you believe that names mean something, it sounds like you hit on it. Joy, did you get anything?
I got like the same kind of thing that I did last time, and I don't really know how, like, this was simple. All I could see was just
Family. Yeah, that sounds really simple. You want to have happy family, something like that. Yeah. Cool. Did you get anything?
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, what'd you get?
I got something, but I don't really feel like it's necessarily mine. And it's Evening Star, move Israel.
Evening. Can you say it again?
Evening Star, move Israel.
You got words.
I guess, yeah.
What does that? What does that mean to you?
Wait, what was the word?
Evening Star Israel.
Evening Star, move Israel.
Evening star, what?
Move.
Move.
Move? Israel? Israel?
Yeah,
Like the
Israel.
country?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so what did that feel like? Like, what do you, was there a feeling attached to it, or what did it mean?
I guess peace or
Peace.
calm.
Okay,
Yeah.
peace. So that's what you would write down, you'd write peace and calm. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all about, if you get a picture of something that's kind of vague, or a word, like a phrase that you don't get, you're like, what does that mean to me? What does it feel like?
I would write the whole, every word.
Whatever works for you.
And then put it in parentheses.
Yeah.
Because it can come up later, right?
Yeah, and yeah, as you do these things
don't
more,
think so?
sometimes you'll get that same thing, but it'll be a little different, a little more clear, and you'll be like, oh, I think I understand it means something, and like it builds.
I wouldn't tell them to not write whole word down, because sometimes it's
The symbols are cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so, yeah, you can decipher each one of these yourself. You got it.
And it's just the first step in the process.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just confusing.
How'd it go for you, Landon?
I don't know, I just got like my life right now.
Your life right now? So because you've already in your life. That's awesome.
That's good.
Good.
That's, yeah, there's no wrong answer. Like if you're where you need to be at right now, that's great.
Like I feel like I have that, what you said earlier, like that intent, but not like,
That's,
That can place that.
you're
So
on the
when
way
you,
somewhere.
so when you tune into your life I love, you can feel that at like a high number.
yeah.
As much as you can feel something, but like, yes.
That's really
It's
good.
interesting, we're in a place where we have people at different ends of the spectrum on each of these choices. So if you feel that really high, that's cool. Doesn't mean you're gonna feel all of them that high. And just like she said, she's at a 0 with this one, she can't feel it at all. She might be able to feel some of the other ones easier, because we're all at different points in our walk. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next two. We won't, just wanted to kind of show you guys how to decipher it. All right, let's get back into just centering yourselves again, okay? Deep breath, closed eyes. This time we're gonna do true nature and purpose. All right, so just take another deep breath. Drop down into your heart space. You're gonna get really familiar with this the more you do it. Elevator ride down to your heart and just focus on that space and how you're connected with God. All right. So from this space, in your mind, say, I choose to live my true nature and purpose. I choose to live my true nature and purpose. And notice where you sense that in your body. I choose to live my true nature and purpose. And that feels different than a life I love. God, let go of any blocks that anybody might have that are ready to go away right now so they can feel this.
No, I can play.
All right. What would it feel like if you had that right now? I'm living my true nature and purpose. What would I need to do to feel this even more? All right. Just notice what is coming in, whether it's a picture or a word or anything, any emotion. You can write it down if you get something. What would I need to do to create this even more? To live even more in my true nature and purpose? What would I love to do to create those?
One of the giant swing.
What does it look like for me to live my true nature and purpose? And anything you get, you'll just have to just write it down. What's it feel like to live my true nature and purpose? Who's in my life when I'm living my true nature and purpose? What am I doing? What activities am I engaging in? Yeah, when I'm living my true nature and purpose. just spend another minute here. What would I love to create to feel this even more? To live in my gifts. To be who I really am at my core. What does that look like? Another few, 10 seconds. When you guys are ready, open your eyes. Briefly, I'll go faster this time. Anybody, how did that one go for you guys? Anybody want to share what they got? Or need help deciphering what they got?
Wisdom and consistency.
Wisdom and consistency.
Charlie, what have you got?
You and your
I have
core.
colors, yellow and white.
What was that?
Colors, yellow and white,
Colors?
Yellow.
almost like behind the
Okay.
glass.
You get really, really symbolic stuff. Okay, so what are the what are the colors yellow and white? What do they feel like?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like, are they peaceful? Is there some sort of conflict? Is there like excitement? Anything like when you see them?
With questioning maybe,
What was
or
that?
confusion.
Confusion?
Yeah, or questioning.
Questioning?
Yeah.
Not a good feeling?
It's not a bad thing,
Maybe curiosity.
Curiosity.
maybe.
You mean like curiosity? Okay, yeah, just write down, I would write down what you got for that.
Maybe
Yeah.
seeking out knowledge, something like that, seeking something out.
Yeah, and I think just to pick up the pace, if somebody needs help interpreting stuff, I think maybe we could talk about it.
Yeah, I'm happy
afterwards,
to,
'cause,
happy
we're
to
happy
talk
to.
with you guys afterwards, just
Yeah.
if you want to share what you've
Anybody else
got.
want to just share what else they got? Yeah? Sure.
Okay, sure. So the words were just words. Fulfilled, fulfillment came to my mind. And then I just saw, then I started seeing pictures of what that looks like. And it was like me teaching about God
Oh, cool.
and teaching, just talking with others about God and teaching them, singing with them, singing hymns
I mean,
with them.
who thinks this is his gift?
Having-
Teaching.
and even like having this creative class where people can do art, or like for me customizing things or building something, or
Make sure you write
sculpting.
every word of that down.
Yeah. You want to get it in stream of consciousness. Yeah,
But-
that's great.
And I saw that community.
Oh, the community again.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, the more you
that's a
do this,
part of-
you'll notice, the same themes repeating themselves. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Yeah.
I saw, helping teams get through pain and whatnot. I also saw, stay strong. And I saw where when you were like, what do you have to do to create this? I saw heal.
Oh, cool.
So I think I have to heal myself before I can start my purpose.
To unlock that, yeah.
And then one of the things which I tried not to overanalyze it, but I thought was pretty cool, is I saw Mr. Carl here and his Jordan's Way Foundation.
Oh. Whoa. And what does that mean?
I don't know, ever since they've gotten here, I think every single one of them has come up to me and been like, you have a place here if you ever want it. And then I prayed on that, and I talked to my mom a little bit about it too, and now I'm seeing it in here. I don't know.
Wow.
Wait, you guys told her that?
All right, let's do the last two. All
You're better.
right, next one is what? Predominant creative choice, the mouthful one. All right. Okay. All right, close your eyes again. Get yourself centered. It's good practice. Just do this a few times. Deep breath. Space. Connect with God. I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life. I choose to be the predominant creative force in my life. I choose to be the creator. how can I feel this right now? What would it feel like if I wasn't the victim of my life? What would it feel like if I actually had freedom and choice? And just notice what you notice. Get anything, write it down when you get it. And what would I need to do to feel this even more? Even the predominant creator in my life under a sovereign creator God. What would I be doing? Who would I be with? Where would I be? What does it mean for me to be the predominant creative force? What would I love to create to feel this even more? Just another 30 seconds. What would it feel like if I was the creator of my life? If I was free to choose. All right, we're gonna go right into the next one. Stop on that. All right, last choice, fourth choice. In your mind, just say, I choose health and vitality. I choose health and vitality. It's a choice. I can choose to be as healthy as I can. Choose having energy. Show me what this looks like for me, guys. What would it feel like if I was healthy and full of energy right now? What activities would I be doing? If I was healthy, energized, what would it feel like? What would I love to create to feel this way? How would that go for you guys?
It's like a room full of people.
A room full of people? Okay. What did that mean to you? What does that represent?
Yeah, I feel like teaching them something.
Teaching?
Yeah. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of like during the summer. Because like during the summer, I announced to a lot of kids. So I feel like that's has something to do with it. It's just people.
Does that energize you or anything like that? Yeah. That's Jason.
Getting to know Jason really well through this because you're sharing so much.
I think it helps us to hear it.
Yeah, so so I saw the words, I got the words process and steps. And then I saw like being at home, taking steps towards what I've, towards that fulfillment, the things that I was saying under the little part. And then I got this image of a man hiking on a journey with a walking staff and a traveling pack on his back, like fully committed, going someplace. And then I saw myself with my wife and family making plans and coming up with ideas, stuff like that together, and that was exciting. And then the last part I didn't get a lot of time with, but just very quickly, for some reason I just saw some wooden stairs, very rusted, very log-like stairs.
What did that mean to you? Stairs?
It was very quick. I didn't get a lot of time. That's what I'm trying to write down. What did I see?
Yeah, so I mean, if you want, take time to do this later.
Playing basketball, like that was another thing that visually popped in my head, just being, active and healthy.
For health and vitality, I always get like a picture of hiking groups going up a mountain. So apparently we're just more hiking. But it also represents like being free.
Being out in nature and just able to choose.
Tomorrow we're gonna take everything we did today and create our life choices, our personal choices, between 4 and 8 of them.
Look at everything you guys wrote down and
And
have.
we'll be like hands-on, like working with you guys with this, on
Yeah.
how to create things. So,
Yep, remember your homework.
last Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Good job.
There was a girl that was murdered. They saved her heart just in time to be able to give it to a donor. They gave it to another little girl. The little girl started having vivid nightmares of someone murdering her. So vivid that she told the police. They were able to find and convict the killer from this girl's memories. It was stored in her heart.